Hello, everyone. Um, there's been a slight change of plans tonight. So what happened? Stacy was supposed to come on, but as you guys know, she's in the UK and she's been sick. So I think she fell asleep, but I did leave her the link. So if she does wake up and wants to join, she's more than welcome to. I would like to introduce you to a guest. For the purpose of this interview, we have protected her identity. She is going by the name of Laura. So I'd like to introduce you today and thank you for coming on.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to, share my story and my perspective on what I went through.
Yeah. So just to give everybody a little bit of a background, it was like 2 days ago, I got a message, saying that she had watched the videos and if we wanted someone to come on the show and, she had some experiences and like instantly I just had this feeling like, there was something to your story, like you had something very important to say. So, you know, I just would like to know, like why did you choose me? Like I'm honored that you chose me, but how did
Yeah,
you come across this and stuff and.
well, because I heard the stories of the other women and what they had been through, and the way that you guys, were handling their stories with such respect. And, I felt safe to be able to talk about, what I had been through with Corey years ago. After hearing the other women come forward, I wanted to, validate their experiences and also use this opportunity for me to heal and to speak about what I went through, in hopes that it could help other people. And
Right.
that's what I've been feeling lately. Like it's taken me so long to be able to talk about some of this stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and lately I've been feeling like I'm ready to talk about it, and even more so so that other people don't have to go through the experience. So,
Right. So
yeah.
before we get started, I would just like to say that we are simulcasting on a few different channels. So the main channel is Kim Still Rocks. It's my channel.
Okay.
And then I'd also like to add that there is a trigger warning for this video. It is not suitable for people under the age of 18. And I will put this in the description. I went to try and edit it, and I wasn't able to do that. But there is a legal disclaimer that I would just like to say that, everything is coming from a victim that is speaking out for the first time. And for legal purposes, that, we have to say that it's alleged. And I'm going to leave my contact info in the description of this video, that if anybody from Corey Feldman's side, once they hear the allegations made towards him, if they would like to contact me, they're more than welcome to do so. So I just want to say that for legal reasons.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to protect you and protect me. So,
Totally
um,
understandable.
yeah. So why don't we just, I know you're nervous. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm even a little nervous. We spoke last night for the first time, and I have to say, like, actually, I have to be completely honest,
Mhm.
is that I called a crisis line after I spoke with you because I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that I handle this in the right way
Mhm.
with, sensitivity and understanding and compassion and
Yeah.
um, you know, and it was shocking. What I heard was very shocking.
I mean, yeah, it is shocking, and the crazy thing is just, just how common it is, especially out here in LA. This is just one of many, 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 many stories of women who have been victimized because, they were new to LA and they saw the glittering lights, and, you're the perfect candidate for
Yep.
predators. So, it's a sad story, but,
It is. It
it's
is.
all too common, sadly.
It is. And I don't know if you know this, but at one point in time, I actually was a fan of Corey Feldman. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that we were friends, and I very much supported him and what he was doing. And then that was in regards to his truth campaign. And then when I found out he was lying, I started calling him out for that. But I can honestly say in my heart of hearts that, 3 years later, I would never be sitting here right now hearing the things that I'm hearing about him.
Yeah, it's shocking.
It's shocking. It's unbelievable. Like I'm in a state of disbelief because I
Yeah,
can't believe.
and all the people who, have stood aside and watched this happen, and also, allowed this to continue to happen, and other men that benefited from these type of situations. All that needs to be addressed too. And, the media platforms that continue to give him a voice. And I'm just so disappointed, like, to see him on Trisha Paytas. And, it's like a really big disappointment for me to see other women supporting him and ignoring the claims that are out there, by all the angels and all of the girls that have come forward. And it's just a damn shame.
Well, I honestly feel in my gut that once we're through tonight's interview, it's going to shock the world.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, through the interviews, through the people I've met, through the people that I've spoken with, the things I've learned, this is a different side of it that I've never heard before. Like
Yeah.
you have intimate details that people didn't have. And, one could argue, even though I disagree, but one could argue the former angels were just bitter employees against a boss, right?
Right.
But let's make it clear from the beginning that you were never an employee of Corey's, right?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. So why don't we start at the beginning? And you can just kind of, start talking, explain how you met him. And then, like, if I have a question, I'll just, ask you,
For
and
sure.
then we'll start there.
For sure. Okay. So I met Corey through another guy, and his name is Amir. And from what I understand, like later found out he was, a drug dealer and hard drugs and stuff like that. But I didn't know that at the time. I was super naive. So it should be noted that, like, things were just going over my head all the time. Like, I'm from the Southeast. I just wasn't raised to be super street smart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I had
And you were 24 years old and new to LA and didn't know anybody and were trying to make friends.
Exactly. I was just so lonely and lost, and I had been shut out by a group of girlfriends before, and so I was traumatized from that.
Right.
And I was out on the Hollywood scene, and I was meeting people and going out and just trying to, like, network and hang out and have fun. And ended up meeting Amir, and he was just, like, seemed nice and cool and, like, laid back and chill. And at the party, we're just sitting next to each other. He didn't creep on me or, like, make me feel, like, uncomfortable. So I was like, all right, cool. This is, a nice guy or whatever. So he invited me to go out with Corey. I think it was, like, the next night, like, super soon after. And
Right.
I was, like, full of energy and young. So I was like, okay, sure.
Yep.
So I went out, and I was just, like, up for an adventure, and Corey had the limo and the girls. And his other main girlfriend, or his girlfriend at the time, not really a girlfriend, but it's so hard with the titles of things.
Yeah.
I would just say, like, harem member.
Okay. Yeah. That's a fair statement.
Yeah, so we'll call her Sarah. And so I met Sarah, and she was super sweet and nice and welcoming, and everybody was cool and just seemed so, like, non-judgmental. And I was like, all right, cool. So, like, we're going out to the club, and yeah, and then they, started, I guess they were, like, doing Molly and like, passing around the capsules. And I had never done drugs before.
Right.
Only weed.
Yep.
I
Which
drink
everybody smokes.
I drink plenty of alcohol in my day, you know.
Me too.
I went to college, you know, had that normal experience. So, but besides that, I never done hard drugs or any kind of drugs much. So
Right.
I took the Molly. They were like, it's super safe. Like, you know, it's all good. Like, it'll be great. It's a safe party drug. And, you know, so yeah, you know, the effects hit you. And it's like the kind of thing that it makes you like super like open and affectionate and cool and laid back. And you know, it's just like it's a fun ride, like, I'm not gonna lie, especially if you never done it before, you know? And you're like, "Whoa, what's happening?" So they kinda opened that door, but what I didn't see at the time was that that was, like, a very predatory thing to do.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you met Corey through this Amir, and
Mhm.
then, explain, how it started to develop, with a friendship with
Yeah,
Corey.
so that night after going out, like, it was pretty crazy. Like,
Okay.
as far as, like, some of the things I saw, there were other guys there that were being super creepy to the girls, and I remember the girls were, like, running away from them, like, in the pool and stuff, and,
Hmm.
you know, we were all rolling and talking and, you know, hanging out and just genuinely, like, you know, seemingly having a good time besides, like, the creepy dudes, and
Right.
so then Corey, I guess he, like, made the guys leave or they left or whatever, and so then everyone, like, went up to his room, and then, you know, like, things started happening, and, it was just a lot, like, to take in, and you're just like, "What the heck's happening?" Ah,
Right.
but, like, I knew I didn't want any part of it,
Right. Yep.
so I just kinda, like, hung back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, and then after that, like, I left, like, early in the morning, and,
Mm-hmm.
like, I freaking cut my foot so bad on his gate leaving.
Oh, really?
A really, really random detail because, like, the crazy thing is the whole time I was involved with him, like, bad stuff kept happening to me, like, I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. Like
Random
what?
side detail, like, just weird bad stuff was always happening to me, like, ever since I got involved with Corey, and
Right.
I could elaborate, like, as we go on, but
Okay. Perfect.
really, really injured that morning. My foot was, like, bleeding, but I still, like, was able to get home, and then, a couple days later, I heard from him, and, you know, he wanted to spend time with just me, and so, um, later that week, I went over and, you know, we kinda, like, started, like, developing a friendship, you know?
Yeah.
And I wasn't, like, interested in him in a romantic sense ever,
Right.
um, a lot because he's the kinda guy that's always checking out other women when you're around.
Yeah.
And
Sleazeball.
yeah, and I'm just like, gross, like, that's a turn off, like, I'm not
Totally.
into any
Yeah.
guy who's always, like, assessing other women.
Yeah. Like, guys, take note of that. Okay. Like, women don't like that.
It's disgusting. It's like,
Yeah.
"Hello."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Love the one you're with kind of thing, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's like, wow, okay, he never had a chance when I saw how predatory he was acting, but anyways,
Right.
we did kinda develop a friendship and, you know, I guess, like, it kinda came out to where, like, you know, I'm kinda interested in, like, acting a little bit, or maybe I'm interested in trying my hand at modeling, or, you
Mhm.
know, I knew he had connections at Playboy, and,
Mhm.
I was, like, kinda interested in that world too, and
Right.
didn't really, like, know that much about it or, like, you know, that whole situation, so I was like, "Yeah, like, maybe, you know, he could, like, introduce me to the right people or who knows, opportunities."
Yep.
It should be said that I was having a really difficult time finding work in LA. Like,
Right.
I had been out here for months, and I hadn't
Yep.
found any legitimate jobs, like,
Right.
yeah, so I was, like, pretty desperate, I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
So I was looking for any small glimpse of hope or opportunity at that time.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Okay, so You started to develop a friendship. I remember you told me that.
We did.
I had to laugh at this part. He takes her over to his house, and doesn't he put on a movie of himself to watch?
Yeah, yeah. So we had dinner, and then we go up to his room, and he's like, "Yeah, like let's watch a movie of me, one of my films." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Like, I didn't know that like actors like to watch themselves. Like I've heard they don't, you
Yeah.
know?
Narcissist
It's like,
too.
no, I totally love watching my films. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ego.
So
Yeah.
that was funny. I don't
Yeah.
mean to laugh about it, but it is funny because I mean, who does that? What normal person? But
I know, right?
yeah. So, okay, so this friendship starts to develop and, you start to go out to events with him. I don't want to lead you. You can tell.
Yeah. So
Story, but, yeah.
events and like, he had like a cool backyard that was fun and like, a nice pool. And so he would like, invite me over and go hang out with the girls and Sarah, the other main girl, and I like kind of started to have more of a friendship. And so yeah, it was fun. We would, go do this and that every once in a while, but like I was never like super into him or anything, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I did consider, us to be friends and but then, obviously over time I started seeing like some real ugliness in him.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, like, can you elaborate more on that? Like, what did you start to see? Like, I'm assuming at this point you're meaning like red flags are going off. Women have that intuition, right? Like, we know something isn't right. You just get that vibe in your gut.
Well, absolutely. Like there are all kinds of red flags. I mean, the drug use alone was huge. Like, the fact that he was always passing out ecstasy among other things and he was like controlling as far as like, oh, I don't eat meat, we don't eat meat.
Yeah.
We don't do this. And listen, like I'm a vegan, I'm all for it, but people need to come to that like on their own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't like push someone to take on your dietary restrictions.
Yeah, you can't push your will onto others,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he always had an agenda. It was almost like how many girls can I sleep with, or like how many can I like manipulate into my bedroom and participating in these various activities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he had a real like, I mean, like the word predatory just keeps coming up, but it's because it's just real. Like he's just a predator. Like he would see a girl and he'd be like, okay, I'm totally going to bag that girl. And so of course the routine would start with, giving the drugs and the whole charade and all that. And yeah, some of the girls were smart and they would be like, what the hell? And like, let's run away as fast as we can. And like, I wish I had been one of those, but I was just at that point of,
There's one former angel that literally jumped out the window and jumped over the gate. And I want to say she was in her angel wings when she did it. Yeah. Like, I mean, and this is the reality. And I mean, like we joked about it a little bit because I mean, like the picture of it in your head is funny, but it's such a sad reality. And I feel sorry, like, the purpose for me in doing this is I know what it's like to feel like you don't have support. And I know what it feels like to feel alone and blame yourself for things that weren't your fault.
Exactly.
And, not know where to go or where to turn or who to trust. And, I appreciate that you trusted me with your story because like it's affected me deeply. Like all day I've just been like, wow, and the fact that you've been sitting on this alone for so many years, like this happened in 2012, you guys. But an important note is that it's still within the statute of limitations.
Is it?
It is. It's 10 years in California.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since this happened, but back then people just really didn't care about stuff like that as much. And Me Too just like wasn't a thing.
Right.
And people like,
Yep.
listen, I was sexually assaulted. People, I'm sorry. And
Yep.
that's all they could say is, I'm sorry. Like, what do you want me to do about it?
Right.
And then I also had people who told me I was a liar,
Yep.
which is so incredibly invalidating and damaging. And after you kind of like hear stuff like that, it just kind of makes you be like, well, I'm just going to keep it to myself then. Like, there's no point in, speaking out about it if people aren't going to do anything. So I kept it inside.
And that's hard. At the end of this video, when it posts on my channel, there's going to be a bunch of links to numbers for support, for sexual assault, for crisis, for suicide support lines, like all kinds of different resources. So I encourage people to check those out.
And
So, yeah, but I mean, so let's try and I'm getting ahead of myself here. So, okay, so let's break it down. So, I mean, you started to see these red flags and then kind of explain from there, I guess, what happened from there.
so, we developed a friendship and a sense of trust was there. And, I just felt like I was a part of a group, kind of,
Yep.
which was important to me, I guess,
Right.
like at the time, just being so alone and so vulnerable, like in a
Yeah.
new city. Um, so, with that being said, yes, I mean, he was drugging and, getting girls to participate in things that they probably wouldn't have ever done sober. So I saw that happening all the time. I myself, experienced that. And then, there was one particular like defining event
Mhm.
that I shared with you about,
Right.
in which I was sexually assaulted, against my will. And that was a defining moment. There were several defining moments throughout my experience with Corey. But
Yeah, so can we talk about the first time that it happened and what happened and try to give as many details as you can, because if somebody's listening that's been through this similar experience,
mhm,
it might trigger something within them to speak out as well.
right. And I really do hope that more people come forward because, as I told you, I know there's tons. So
Yeah.
I know I'm just one of many.
Right.
But yeah, so what had happened with this particular event was we had had like one of the nights out with the drugs and the partying and the other people there, the girls, and then everybody left and I just stayed,
Uh-huh.
like I stayed with him at his house for like a couple extra days after, just like
Yep.
in kind of a low place, because the thing that should be noted is when you're coming down off of ecstasy, your brain is depleted of its normal levels of serotonin. So
Right.
it's very normal for after use of the drug to feel depressed afterwards. And
Right.
when you're depressed, you don't necessarily want to be all alone. And
Right.
I'm someone that was prone to depression anyways.
Yeah.
So I would feel those effects. And so I'm like, I'm just going to stay. And, he wanted me to stay. And so I did.
Uh-huh.
And, I don't know, everything's fine. We're hanging out by the pool for a couple days. He's doing his interviews and whatever the heck he does. I don't know, his grifting.
Yep.
And I'm just like minding my own business, hanging out at his house. And then, one morning, like I'm sleeping in the bed with him and, we're just like, we're sleeping in the same bed, but we're friends and we're cool and whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then like that morning, like I'm barely awake. Okay. Like I hadn't even gotten up like to use the bathroom or anything yet. I'm just like, my eyes are just like starting to open.
Uh-huh.
And that's when he is like on top of me and physically trying to make something happen that is not easily happening. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was weird as F. My brain was like, what's happening? Like, I
Yeah.
just like I couldn't process. I was just like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
no. I was like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, but it's like he just kept forcing it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Um, and yeah, that was crazy. And I don't think I even realized until later like how fucked up that was and how I was like pretty much, I don't know like what you can say on YouTube, but yeah, I mean pretty much was, raped. And I didn't even realize at the time, but I was, and that was the reality. And I don't know, I tried to make it okay in my mind for a
Mm-hmm.
while, but then like I don't know, it was like my agency, my control over my own body, was taken away from me.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel the same after.
I think it's an important thing to point out that I would consider this. I'm not a cop or anything like that, and they may look at it entirely freaking differently. But just from hearing this, my interpretation of it is that it sounds like it was a date rape situation.
Yeah,
And those situations are different than like a full on attack. Like, say, for instance, you're walking down the street and someone comes out of nowhere and grabs you and, sexually assaults you. That's a
exactly.
different scenario. That's traumatic as well. But
Totally different
sometimes,
scenario. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it takes people years to even realize that that's what happened. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've never, ever, ever told this story before. But I was with a guy when I was like 17, and like, we were kind of dating, seeing each other.
Hmm.
And, one night we were all partying, and I passed out hours before everybody else. And I woke up and like he was on top of me, and
Oh my
like
God.
he had ripped my clothes and stuff. And, I really struggled with that because I was like, I was dating him.
Yes.
So it's like, what just happened to me? Like, I mean, but I was completely out of it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
completely out of it. I mean, I
Like you
couldn't
did not
even.
want that happening. This is not consent. Right.
Right. Yeah, like if I was awake, it would have been consent. And that's where I struggled.
It would have been
Because
consent if you had said yes, if
yes.
you're and you were into it too,
Yeah, but when someone is
It's like,
completely passed out cold and doesn't even know what's happening and literally wakes up and you're done, like, I mean, who knows how long it even happened for? Like, I mean, you
terrible.
know, and this is the first time I've come to terms with it. Maybe that's why I reacted, the way that I did when I heard your story, because it's like, you
Mhm.
don't know, like you don't want to admit that about um
No, you don't.
somebody that and have some sort of emotional connection with, whether it be a friendship or a relationship.
It's very weird, and it's, like, hard for the brain to even,
It
like,
is. It is.
rationalize what happened, but then you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, maybe it's just, like, no big deal," and then you're just like, "Whatever, like, I'm just gonna keep moving forward and, ignore it and just act like nothing happened," kinda thing.
Yeah.
And then
And look at how long it took me. I was 17, I'm 44, and this is the
wow.
first time I've ever said it out loud, what happened to me.
Well, I'm happy for you then because that's healing, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's really, really good,
Yeah.
for both of us.
Hmm.
Both using this
Hmm.
as an opportunity to heal and, face past trauma.
Yeah. And I can't explain it. All I knew is that there was something more to the Corey Feldman thing, and I didn't
Yeah,
know why. And I didn't know why I couldn't drop it and let it go, because there was just something in my gut that says something's not right, and I don't know what it is. Did
yeah,
I want it to be the information that we're hearing today? No, I really, really didn't.
and
But he did it, not us. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
It's not about me, it's about you. So I just wanted to share that with you because you were brave enough to share your story with me. So
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for, being vulnerable too.
thank you.
I think that's great.
So, okay, so back to your story. So it happened the first time, and then, you were feeling weird about it, and then continue on, like with your thoughts. Like, what was,
Yeah.
what happened next?
I just felt like, like, I don't know. It's like I wanted to run away and like never see him again. But at
Hmm.
the same time, I was like, I've already invested so much time spending with him and hanging out with him and, the other girls. And so I was like, I continued to, go out with them from time to time and spend time with them. And, it got progressively worse, like as far as, different things that happened. And yeah.
Okay, so let's start.
Sorry, it's hard to
I know, I
like
know,
a hard thing to talk about, especially
I know,
publicly.
I
But
know.
um
Just pretend it's me and you. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so like I continued to go out with them and the drugs were given and activities continued to happen here and there. Um there was another time where things happened that were not super like consensual, I'll say.
Right?
And um yeah, I told you about the other incident that happened.
Yes.
And that was also like pretty traumatic and weird and awful. And I also want to confirm what other people have said, and that it's completely true that he doesn't use protection. Um and he puts, women's health at risk. And it's like, we're responsible for our own bodies too, but at the same time, when you're like a young 20s,
Yep.
you're just not thinking straight.
Yeah.
And in my defense, I didn't have like a lot of sex ed. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like I come from like the conservative South, and
Right.
the only sex ed that I ever got was like, don't have sex.
Right.
Like, I literally didn't realize how dangerous the activities were.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I
And
really
I
do.
and I think he really
Preyed on that.
preys on people's ignorance in that way. Um, so that alone is criminal.
Okay, so let's talk about that second one because those are the details. I know it's hard to talk about, and if you're not comfortable, we don't have to. But I,
Yeah, like,
I
I don't
think
know if I feel 100% comfortable going into the second encounter
okay. Yep, no problem. No problem.
situation, but I will say that, there was another time where that happened. And, and it was at one of his birthday parties. Um yeah. I don't know if I'm really feeling
Yep.
like really want to go into all the
Okay.
details, to be
Yep.
honest with you.
Yep. I
I
understand.
think people should know that it wasn't just a one-time isolated event.
Right.
Um, and I will say that it's really hard for me because just like every woman that this happens to, like a part of you blames yourself
Yeah.
because you're like, I should have like got the hell out of there. Like, what was I thinking? And it's like, that's the hard part, that you're like trying to not blame yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I still struggle with that, and it's a tough one. We are our own worst critic. You know what I mean? Like, I treat my friends a million times better than I treat myself, as sad as that sounds. But,
Yeah.
like but we've got to learn to forgive ourselves and forgive our younger selves.
Exactly, because it's like we're not the same people that we were back then. And
No, not
and
at
that's
all.
what kills me, is just that he like preys on people who are so young and vulnerable. And it's like, these are grown men. Like, they know what the hell they're doing when it comes to manipulating young women, and
Mhm.
there's a reason they go after women who are young,
Yeah.
because we're so much more, malleable and so much
Mhm.
more easy to manipulate,
Yeah.
and I've definitely seen that
Yeah.
over the years as far as older men and, like, a lot of the guys that he would have around and stuff. It was, like, just disgusting.
The part that bothers me the most is he tries to be this like hero in Hollywood, and why is
Mhm.
nobody taking him seriously? And I'm Mr. Child USA ambassador. And then he's got these allegations towards him that he is doing the same thing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's a perfect front.
You know what they say, like, things are hidden in plain sight?
Yep.
And I think he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
He is everything that is wrong with Hollywood.
Yeah.
And yet his whole thing is exposing Hollywood. Um,
Right.
and I'm not saying that he didn't go through trauma or that he doesn't know about bad things that happened. I'm not at all, but I'm also saying that he's perpetuating the problem um, amongst young women who have aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
And, it should be said that his whole Corey's Angels company, whatever you want to call it, scheme,
Mm-hmm.
before it was a band, it was a company, a
Yeah.
talent company where they basically say that they're gonna, put these women on, like, you know, give you opportunities for your career and build you up and all this stuff. But it's like, instead of like actually being a legit talent agency or company or whatever,
Yeah.
like, it's a scheme so that him and other dudes could get laid by vulnerable women.
Okay, you know how
They're
crazy
tripping
what
off
you said
drugs.
is right now? Is I did an interview with a lady named Chantel, and she
Mhm.
had messages saying the same exact thing. She
Yeah,
said that they tricked young girls, pretended that they were going to set them up with all these modeling shoots and
yes.
acting jobs and music careers, and it was all a sham. And yeah, it's so that validates her story.
Yeah, oh, it's
Crazy.
absolutely true. That's his Corey's Angels company.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing before it was a band, it was, something else, and, I saw Courtney saying that she was the first angel, but it's just not the case. There were many that came before her,
Yeah.
that, fell victim to his scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's so crazy. Like, I'm not even sure where to go to next because there's so much in my head and so much we talked about last night. And
I know,
um,
and the sad thing is it's like, he even says it. He's like, "I wanna fix broken women from broken homes." And
yes,
it's
he
like,
has.
dude, you're basically, like, blowing your own cover.
I know. The more he talks, the more he hurts himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
It's
hidden in
crazy.
plain sight, just like
Yeah.
we love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pathological, I swear.
Wow.
So
It is. Absolutely.
I'm really happy that, we're exposing this and,
I agree.
because, it needs to be done, and,
Yeah.
um, it's unfortunate, and, like I told you the other day as well, um, yes, Corey hurt me, but he also had people around that were, harmful and, predators as well.
Like who?
Like, sorry, my dog is
That's
like,
okay. I have a dog too.
remember I told you about the couple?
Yeah. So let's tell that story. That's weird.
Yeah. So, like, okay, they would go out to clubs, we would all go out to clubs, whatever, doing drugs, and then there would just be random ass people who would
Yeah.
come back to his house.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who are these people? And one time I remember, like, literally, he had just given me drugs. And, when you first feel the onset of the ecstasy, it's just like this crazy feeling, and you're just like laying back, and you don't really have full control over yourself. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
When this couple like comes up and just starts touching me,
Right. Yeah.
without my consent.
Wow.
And yeah, like disgusting old guy and like his, Russian bride or whatever. And yeah, so that was also like a form of assault. And I mean, thank God I got away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like situations like that. It was just like so creepy and just messed up, and stuff like that would happen like, regularly. But I don't know. That's just one example of something sketchy.
Well, and then I also remember you were saying about, and I found this really odd because keep in mind, you guys, this is from 2012, okay? And the hookers, the prostitutes,
Yeah.
ladies of the night
Uh-huh.
that were around Charlie Sheen
Yes.
during the Tiger Blood incident were in the picture with Corey.
Well, yeah, there was a couple times that some of Charlie's women were at Corey's. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I don't know how he knows all these women who are involved in prostitution and the adult industry.
Right.
That's probably worth looking into on its own. I don't really know how he's connected with all these people and like what the heck's going on with that. But yeah, those girls were around on a couple of occasions. Yes.
Now I find that the reason why I brought that up is I find it particularly odd because in his documentary he claimed that Charlie Sheen abused Corey Haim, which is in fact not true.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I heard.
I find it
that he said that.
I find it so odd that he would have that connection.
I mean, it is odd.
Yeah.
It is strange. They were nice girls. One of them even at one point was like, "You're so beautiful. Like, what are you doing here?" And I remember her saying that to me, and I'm like, I didn't understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My self-esteem was like so broken.
Oh.
That I was like, what? Like, I don't get it. Like, what do you mean? What am I doing here? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like, I was just so broken, like, by life, but also like by him, because it's such subtle manipulation in the way that he like kind of breaks your spirit.
Can you describe that a little more? Like, what would he do?
I mean, like, he would, inadvertently, put down like certain things about maybe your look or whatever, like the women that had, breast implants were treated differently. He would often like make comments to certain procedures and whatnot, as a way of like increasing one's value.
Well, something, can we talk about the doctor? Because I've done some research. Tell the story first, and then I'll tell you what I found out.
And I also want to mention, like, with him, like, attacking people's self-esteem, the Corey makeover.
Yeah.
Like, that he, pushes on everybody because he's anorexic, so everyone else needs to be an anorexic too.
Yeah.
Like, that should be noted. Like, that's abusive too.
It is.
You need
manipulation.
To lose more weight. That was always the thing. And it's like, dude, I was thin. I was tiny. And it's crazy. I look back at pictures and I'm like, holy crap, I was so small. And still made me feel like I was a fat ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so sick. Like, it's so sick and twisted. And, he had his like preferences and, you could see, the change that like his wife like went through, with her whole look. And I just feel bad because she was like beautiful before, she's a gorgeous woman. But, of course with Corey, nobody's ever skinny enough, blonde enough, and fake enough.
So, okay. So he wanted you to do what?
To get breast implants.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because the reason why I'm bringing this up is there's some very interesting information that I found out since, and I want to share it with you because I don't even think you know. So go ahead and tell that story.
Yeah, so like I said, there was like a lot of subtle manipulation involved with getting breast implants. And I was never somebody who felt insecure about their body or their breast.
Mm-hmm.
I know some women, like, they know they always want to get them, and they're like, yeah, like, I'm totally for it. And hey, I think it's great. Like, get whatever you want done if it's for you.
Right.
But I was not one of those people. Instead, I was made to feel like incredibly insecure. And, I don't think that's the greatest reason for getting them.
Right.
So, I also had previously had work done on my nose,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a deviated septum, among other asymmetry in my nose. And so I expressed to Corey that I was interested in getting my nose worked on again. Now that I'm out here living in LA, I know that tons of amazing surgeons and doctors out here. So I was thinking maybe he had a suggestion. And this is before like the crazy power of the internet. Like now you just go on Real Self and you can find an amazing surgeon and talk to tons of people about their experiences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And actually really, really vet people. But back then, plastic surgery was like word of mouth.
Yeah.
So I really, really was trusting that he would, point me in a great direction as far as, who would be somebody that I should go to for my work.
Right.
And then it was also mentioned that, hey, since I wanted to get my nose worked on and repaired, why not just get a boob job? And, I really felt like I needed that to step my game up. And it was implied that I needed that to, even be visible in LA, in Hollywood, in the modeling, in the Playboy world, all that stuff.
Wow.
Before, that I just literally felt like I was literally invisible. So, when you're in a place of negative self-talk, you could be convinced to do just about anything. But anyways, so that's kind of what got me to the plastic surgeon's office with Corey.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you excuse me. So then he encourages you to get breast implants.
Yes.
And do you mind if I share this part of the information?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so she went into a surgeon recommended by Corey, and was a B cup. Okay, she expressed that she wanted to go to like a full C. Yes. Well, she has the operation, and it comes out double freaking D's.
Yeah. And you know what? That was true negligence on his part, because I had no idea what a breast implant consultation should go down. Right. I had no idea that you got to pick your own size, and you got to like hold up the bags and see like what size fit you and what was the appropriate, for your frame and all that stuff. And none of that happened with my surgery. He didn't even really explain to me why I should, maybe look into different options like silicone versus saline.
Right.
And every woman should be made fully aware of their different options by their surgeon. It's not on me to do just the research myself. You know what I mean? It's like I'm seeking a professional, and it's their job to, educate me on all of my options.
Right.
Under the muscle or over the muscle. There's all different styles and techniques, and it's just like, it's a comprehensive process that should be, thoroughly gone over with each patient, and that did not happen.
Right.
Yeah. And so I woke up with these giant breasts, and I was like panicking because like before they settle, they look crazy because they're new and they're sticking out, and I'm just like, oh my God, what happened? Like, Essentially, like, it wasn't what I asked for. But like I had no choice, and I just had to like learn to really like them.
Yeah. And
So
then he did your nose as well, right?
yes, and so the same surgeon, Corey's good friend. It should be noted, he's not just a business associate or whatever. They are good friends and
Right.
were for quite some time. The surgeon is actually um, loosely connected to Michael Jackson via his father. Anyhow,
Right. Right.
yeah. So I was told, oh, he could fix your nose. You know, it's called a revision nose job, and those are significantly more complicated.
Right.
And I was reassured and told that he could fix it, and he's the guy, and it'll be great. And yeah, so basically, that surgery did not go very well. He removed way too much cartilage. The left side of my nose collapsed.
Oh my God.
And I had to live with it like that for years before I could afford to fix it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because it costs like literally $20,000
Oh,
to fix that kind of an issue.
wow.
Like, I mean, I'm not talking like an $8,000 revision nose job. I mean, I'm talking, I had to go to the best surgeon to get this fixed and looking, you know, on point again.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it took me years to be able to make that happen.
So, I hear this, and then you tell me after the surgery what happens.
Oh, yeah. So, after the surgery, it was just really, really weird because that's when I was, you know, at my breaking point with Corey and all his bullshit. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't want to be associated anymore, frankly.
Right.
Not down. And I told him, and we had like text fights and all this stuff back and forth. And I don't know. And then later the surgeon started reaching out to me and contacting me. And we had a couple conversations, inappropriate conversations that were just pretty bizarre and totally irrelevant to my life. And to the surgery and all that. And I don't know, they had it in their head that, I don't know, they thought I wasn't going to pay or something, which is so stupid because I had already put the money down and then secured a loan or whatever. So
Right.
I don't know. I think it was just an excuse for them to harass me. And then the surgeon like called me a lesbian, I
Yeah.
guess, because I didn't want to be with Corey or be associated with him anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not a lesbian. Like, I mean, that's cool if you are. Like, I have nothing against it, but like, I'm not. So it's just like irrelevant, you know?
Yeah. And then, wasn't he also calling you about Corey? Like, why aren't you hanging around Corey?
I mean, it was implied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was implied. And it was just weird and inappropriate and beyond bizarre. And then, you know, at the end, he's like, I'm such a very busy man. Like, I don't know why you're bothering me with this. And I'm like, listen, like, you're the one that's bothering me.
Yeah.
So backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
found
was
that odd. So, I did some
odd.
digging. I did some digging,
Okay.
and like I was curious because as far as I remember, Corey Feldman went on the Wendy Williams show
Mm-hmm.
in 2020 and said that he had never had any plastic surgery before.
Oh,
So
God.
I was like, that's bullshit. So I found something.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. So I put something together because I want you guys to see this. So hang on a second.
Oh, my God. The hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So hang on a second. You guys know me in screen sharing. I'm going to try my best to do this. Share screen. Share screen.
Yeah, he's such a hypocrite. It's literally shocking.
Yeah, it's hang on one second here.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I'm not trying to like disclose his work or anything, but I mean, it's obvious that he's had his nose worked on, and there's no shame or wrong in that. But it's like,
Right.
don't lie about it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think he's had lipo too.
Yeah, that's what. Okay, so can you guys see my screen here?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so let's watch this. Uh-oh, there's no sound. Why not? Hang on.
You've been through, because I know you've been through,
A lot of damn hell, yes.
yeah, he's been through hell and back.
Right.
But your face, like, how old are you?
I try not to tell.
It's okay. Wikipedia.
22.
But you look.
That's my lucky 22.
Oh my gosh, he does have 22.
Yeah,
What a
I told
mess.
you.
You look really good,
Thank you, God
and
bless
your spirits are really
you know
high.
what? I'm vegetarian.
Oh.
I don't eat animals. And
Oh.
that's kept me healthy. I don't drink alcohol.
Uh-huh.
So those kinds of things actually help you restore.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and also,
Have you seen 80s hit kid Corey Feldman lately?
But Kimmy, Dana, who didn't love The Lost Boys?
Oh, one of my favorites. Well, now the actor and his full model wife are revealing the plastic surgery secret they both share.
Hi, Extra. I'm Corey Feldman,
And I'm Susie Feldman,
and we've got some news.
just for you.
Yep, it's the 80s teen idol and his hottie wife speaking out about some racy photos, their raw reality show, and rumors of an hip tuck.
I did get a little bit of work done, and I'm glad that we're clearing this up.
More on that in a minute. Corey with his very first
So
look at
there's a
Susie's
lie.
sexy Barrett all layout.
Well, there it is in print, honey.
They're nice pictures. I like it.
That's when Corey dropped this bombshell. The same Beverly Hills plastic surgeon who enhanced Susie's breast, Dr. Jeff
Wow.
Fulton, really performed liposuction on him.
It's
Yeah.
just my stomach.
All because the former child star thought he looked fat in this new PETA campaign where he and his wife recreated the famous John Lennon Yoko Ono bedroom photo.
PETA people, of course, being as controversial as they like to be.
They wanted him to be
It was more skin, give us more skin. And as this is happening, I'm going,
Corey is demanding, but no, he did great.
Okay, so that's that.
Yes, there he is.
That's the
Well, it's not
surgeon.
gonna happen.
So
A highly professional surgeon that we all love.
so isn't that interesting? Hang on, I got more.
Oh
I
my
just
God.
gotta get it there. Whoops, shoot. Copy. Hang on. I thought it was weird when you said that the surgeon was calling you,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Because
bizarre.
I couldn't figure that part. Oh, why do I keep sending it to myself in a text? I want to send it.
Figure it out now. It's hard for me to
Pardon?
remember exact details. Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. It's hard for me to remember exact details, to be completely honest with you, because it has been such a number of years,
Right.
you know, but yeah, I mean, it was very inappropriate. I mean, I can't even say, like, that surgeon was sketchy. And I mean, his involvement with Corey alone,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I just feel like birds of a feather flock together, and
Yeah.
like him and all the people around him, they all have similar interests. Okay.
Mhm.
And the surgeon is no different. You know what I mean? He's just another Hollywood predator.
Right.
I mean, and I posed for pictures for him that were supposed to be like before and after, but yet I had to like take off almost all my clothes. You know what I mean?
So I did some digging because, like I said, up until 2020, he always, and he still goes on Twitter and says that he's never had plastic surgery. So
Oh my God.
I found this article by chance, and it says, for those who can't read it, it says American actor, former child actor and singer Corey Feldman, best known for all of his roles. I'm not going to read all of his thing. Go check out his frickin' IMDb. Feldman, now 42, has had liposuction. You know what I'm trying to say.
Liposuction? Yeah.
Thank you. After
Yes.
being inspired by his ex-wife Susie Sprague in 2007. Reports claim Corey was so inspired by his wife's boob job that he made the decision to go under the plastic surgeon's knife himself. He reportedly had liposuction and possible other undisclosed operations to help appear better on the second season of the reality show The Two Coreys. He shared with his childhood pal rival Corey Haim, who also enjoyed fame back in the 80s. Now, I got to get the damn clip from The Two Coreys because there was an actual clip too. Where he
with Jeff?
Yeah. Oh, we've seen it in the last video. We've seen it. That's what that video was. That was the clip.
Yeah, because it's like it's kind of like in Hollywood, it's like if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So like Corey had this reality show, I guess. I never saw the show, but he's like, hey, you're my friend. You're a surgeon. Want to come on the show? And then it'll be publicity for your practice. You know what I mean? So like, that's kind of how it is. And so
back up. Well, and then in the rest of the article, it says, for that reason, he called on Jeffrey D. Hoffman, MD, who augmented his ex-wife Susie's breast to work on him. In 2008, Feldman appeared in an unbuttoned shirt next to his nude wife, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he did all of Corey's, all the women that were in Corey's inner circle, all of their breasts. From what I understand,
it has been noted that it says it has been noted that the plastic surgeon who performed the liposuction on Feldman was Dr. Hoffman, a friend of Corey Feldman since they were teenagers.
Yeah,
we have been friends since childhood, and I knew I could trust him. I had little problems in my area of my belly, blah blah blah. In detail, the liposuction was done March 7th, 2008, and was televised in Feldman's reality TV show, which we showed the clip of The Two Coreys on the A&E network. The reason why I wanted to show that is, like, he denied it, but it's actually his friend.
It's his friend. And so, like, I even thought he's sending all these women to this surgeon. I thought, well, what's in it for him? I thought, is he getting a kickback?
Yeah.
Because, he wasn't paying for the surgeries. Let's be clear. Even though, it was just twisted. It's like he should have been paying for them anyways, like if he wanted the women to have them, but that's way besides the point. And he said no, he was not receiving any kickbacks from Jeff, but he should be for all the patients that he sends him, apparently.
Yeah.
Honestly, I will say on the record, he did do a good job with my breast implants. I'm not going to say he didn't, but he did, further traumatize my nose. So that's unfortunate.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you leave a review in 2017 about it?
I don't know. Is there a review?
Because I come across something and it confirms your story, and the date of it is 2017, and it says, I was so upset it took me 5 years to talk about it. And I was talking about a breast augmentation and a deviated septum.
Oh my God, it might have been. Was this on Yelp?
I don't know. I have it. Let me see. Hang on 1 second. Let me see where it is. I got to find it. There's a lot to go through.
I don't even know. Maybe. I mean, there's a chance I could have written a review at that time, but I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
Right.
But it is serious business. It should be said that plastic surgery is still surgery and very dangerous. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So I can't recommend him for surgery. Just because of all of the unprofessional things that happened to me while under his care. Right. Yeah.
Okay, I found it. So hang on.
And the thing is, this is not like that rare of a situation as far as like the surgery and all that. That's very normal.
The reason why I'm showing this is actually because it proves your story.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It proves that there was connections between all of them, and you know what I mean? Like, it's giving you credibility. It's showing people that, the events happened at the time you said they did, and, thing. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
do you understand? Yeah. Okay. So I hope, yeah. Just give me 1 second here. This is what I want to show this. And it might not be you, but let me see if it is. Hang on. It's just waiting. Okay.
Oh, wow. I think I see the review you're talking about.
Yeah.
No,
I think
it was in
that's
2018. Holy cow. He has a lot of bad reviews.
So I don't know if this was you, but it says, in the beginning, everything seemed perfect. The consultation went great. Everyone was very helpful. There was a clear understanding on what I was looking for and wanted to achieve. And he said he could do it. I got breast implants and rhinoplasty, inter and outer. I don't know if that's true. He said, you are the perfect candidate for breast implants because my breasts are already perfectly shaped. Needless to say, the scarring on my nipple was all jagged. He gave me such a high profile nipple that I can't wear low cutting shirts, most wooden suits, and most bras without my nipples popping out of the top. My one nipple seems to be facing straight ahead and the other one seems to be under my armpit.
That's not me.
Oh my God. Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
good.
thank God. But I feel so
good.
bad for that person, you know, that sucks. And it's
Oh.
criminal really what these surgeons are able to get away with. Because a lot of them are very unethical, and that's a whole other topic. But
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like I mean, okay, so you know, I guess what was the reason you said to me, you know, like this is part of your healing is to talk about this now and put this out there, and you've been living with this for a long time on your own.
Yeah.
You know, and that's got to be tough. But
It's
you know, you're not alone. You're not alone. There's a lot of other women, unfortunately, that are in the same position you are, and you know, have tried to do the right thing and spoken to police. And I don't know if it is because he has some sort of immunity because of his, you know, status of, you know, celebrity or whatever. You know, if that's the case, that's pretty corrupt because he's still a human being and he's still allegedly committing crimes.
Absolutely.
That another person would be punished for. So I don't see why he should be given a free pass.
He shouldn't be given a free pass at all. And I think it's really sad that like this is continuing to happen. And, you know, they're continuing with their little scheme and ploy of, you know, giving women drugs, lowering their inhibitions, promising them a chance and a hope and a shot, at least just a shot at some kind of career, you know, not like a big break or just like any kind of opportunity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here's an intro to somebody who can help you or da 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 da. But like, it's just this whole predatory ploy that they have going. And it's just really, really sad. And he is involved with numerous sketchy people, old men that act like they're, you know, part of media companies and doing photo shoots and all this stuff. And you know, it's a real shame that this is continuing to happen. And I really hope that in 2021, people can finally start calling him out and, you know, making strides and changes towards, you know, protecting women. And I just hope that whether it's girls that are, you know, approached by him or whatever, I don't know how they recruit now, whether it's on social media or in the clubs or out or whatever. I just hope that if they Google and then they hear stories, they will literally run the other direction. Or, you know,
here's the problem. Here's the problem is, you know, like we've been speaking out about this for a long time. And like they took my channel down. They took Stacy's channel down. Susie's channel's been affected. Bobby Wolf's. Yeah, because they don't like the content. So they got something called the DMCA where it states that we can't talk about them in a slanderous manner. And it's like, you have to be careful with what you say. And it's like, you know, like these are first hand experiences. It's not hearsay. It's like the people themselves It's not, you know, someone told me. It's this person's telling you. You know what I mean? It makes a difference. So
Yeah, and you know, it's just really messed up, and nobody should be censoring, you know, actual women's stories. That's just the most backwards thing in the world to me. Like,
it
these are
really is.
people that are talking about what happened to them, and to censor that and to call them a liar is so invalidating to their entire life's experience. And it just
Oh,
makes
you
me so
should see.
angry. Like, it
You
makes
should
me
see some of the things
angry.
that's, yeah. Go ahead.
You know?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay.
Some of his fans support. You know, someone was fighting with someone the other day on his Twitter. Somebody sent me a screenshot of it, and it was like he calls it Feld fam, like his close, you know,
Yeah.
spies, let's just say. So she's
God.
like, I would be happy to be raped and drugged by Corey Feldman. Like,
I saw
this is her.
That is just so
Yeah,
depraved.
like,
It's
yeah.
so depraved and horrible. And I mean, I honestly don't even understand how he could have fans. Like, what? You know,
I
he's
was
so
fooled. I was
crazy.
fooled by him at one time. I get it. You know.
I know, yeah, but you know, he is just a really crazy guy, and the fact alone that he has so much drama and controversy surrounding him, it's like I don't see any other reality stars, you know, unless it's manufactured drama to promote their shows. I don't see other
Yeah.
people with the amount of drama that he has around him, and that alone is a bad sign. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I don't know
Yeah.
how he has, frankly, I don't know how he has the energy to do it
Yeah.
all. It's like,
Yeah.
and he's getting older, you know, and I'm like, I don't know how he has the energy to go out there and continue to try to recruit new whatever, you know, women, and to get more of their, to find more, you know, people to involve themselves with their weird shit that they do. And I don't know how he's the energy for it. It's like, dude, he needs to freaking focus on himself and literally putting his energy toward making some real money instead of scamming people. But the problem with that is once you're a scammer like that for that many years, you've lost all credibility. So it's like,
Oh, totally.
he should like literally go try to like make some real money so that he could, you know, stop scamming people and actually have a life and have something to work towards instead of drama on social media. Like, I'm sorry, but he needs to freaking get a life. I'm like, it literally blows my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Me too.
I don't know. I don't know many adult men who act like that.
Me neither. It's funny because I've been involved in this shit for way too long, and it's like it's mental. Like, you know what I mean? It makes you mental because there's so many people and so many agendas and so many wars and battles, and it's just ridiculous because you know, and it's really because they don't want to admit what he is, and neither did I. And am I sitting here like laughing and gloating? No, my heart is heavy because at one time in life I cared about this person.
Right.
And, you know, like, I feel bad that this is who he really is. Like, this is what it is, allegedly, in my opinion.
I feel bad too because, you know, the thing about it is people don't understand because they don't realize that he could be so charming. He has like a really like, you know, like he has a side to him that's like kind of lovable. Like, I want to say that like he does like, you know, he can make people feel good, and he has a talent of that, like, you know, like with flattery and manipulation and whatever. So like I can see it because obviously it happened to me. I was a victim of it too, in a different way, like being a fan. So yeah, you know, there's all different levels to it, but I really do think that they need to stop what they're doing as far as calling people liars and insulting the intelligence of humans that see the story. It's like, does he really think people are that stupid that they're going to buy that it's like some satanic cult coming after him for no good reason? Like, does he
I,
really?
you know, I've asked that question 100 different ways, 100 different
Right.
times. Like, you know, and I said to him one day on a live, I was like, I don't know what's worse is if you believe the things you're saying about people, then like you are very delusional and misinformed. And if
Yeah.
you don't believe these things, then you're just like a manipulative freak.
He is a freak. I think that's the good word to describe it. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I can't think of anything better to describe it. But yeah, I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad because women aren't going to come out and say, hey, this guy hurt me. This guy abused me. This person, breached our contracts as far as the employees go, just for no good
Right.
reason. Or she
Right.
wants to try to say that we're being paid by shadow sources or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I just want to make it clear that I'm not receiving any money or any kind of benefits from doing this,
No.
other than it does help me like process some of the trauma that I went through around him. My sole reason is to help other victims and prevent this from continuing, because there's all
Yeah.
kinds of men in Hollywood and around that manipulate young women, and some of them don't even make it out alive.
Yeah, and that's a fact.
So
I'm glad you did.
and I think
You know,
I'm so glad
go
I
ahead.
did.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm happy I made it out alive too, because I mean, it was so freaking traumatic, and we didn't even go into all the other stuff.
Oh,
With
we're
the
gonna.
with the drug
Oh,
overdose.
yeah. So let's start with one key point I really want to mention and bring up because it aligns with the Jackie interview, which I don't know if you've heard that.
I have.
Where
I think
she,
I've heard them all.
yeah, that one
Mhm.
really resonated with me. Like it changed everything for me. And I believed her because I could hear the emotion in her voice as she told the story, like, time later, right?
Yeah.
And when we were talking last night and you started talking about like the Playboy lives and stuff like that, can you explain that? Because
Yeah.
she was accused of, being a spy and trying to do these lives in his house to make it look like, to expose him to Marilyn Manson. Like he's just insane. The claims are
That is
insane.
a crazy theory that they're putting out there. I heard that, and it just sounds like crazy. It sounds very
It is
far-reaching.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, she wanted to cam while she was living with him, right? That's what you said.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and they come out and they say, "Oh, camming is horrible," and stripping is bad, and this and that. But it's like, dude, it's again, it's the hypocrisy. Do you know what I'm saying?
But that's not okay with him. But it's okay
Right.
for him to. How did the
Clearly.
Playboy live come into play?
Yeah. So the hypocrisy, it's like, okay, it's publicly. So basically, their public image and what they're putting out is absolutely zero to do with reality. It's his public image is that he's against this and that. But behind closed doors, clearly he's fine with whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, so when I was around there, I was like I said earlier in the interview, I was like really struggling to find work and was really struggling to, make any kind of money in LA. And I had literally been used. Like I came out here also wanting to do makeup. I had been told that I need to do makeup for free. And like I literally got used so much. But anyways, that's another whole topic. And so they were like the main girl, Sarah, and that's a fake name, just to let everybody know. She was like, why don't you do Playboy Live? It's owned by Playboy. It's their cam site. It's like a higher end experience for, women that are more like playmates versus like the regular camming. And they had a studio in Culver City, and it was a company and everything. And so her and Corey were kind of like, okay, you want to make some money, go do that. You know what I mean? And I was
Yep.
just like, all right, like, I guess I'll try it. You know, like I'd never done anything like that before. I've never
Yeah.
been in the adult industry. I never wanted to be in the adult industry or anything like that, but like there I was, and I found
Yep.
myself like doing that. And yeah, so he fully knew about it, and that's how I found out about it. And through that, I did, like, I was on Playboy TV and I did Playboy Radio. And you know, the pay is like super small. The compensation was not really anything much to write home about.
Right.
You know, but yeah, so there's some hypocrisy again, I guess, because yeah, he fully knew about it and encouraged it. And yeah, so he opened me up to that whole industry, which I didn't know, you know, anything about it. And
Right.
those people. And thankfully I got out of that pretty quickly
Mhm.
after I realized that it definitely wasn't for me, you know?
Yeah. So then,
But
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, it did kind of traumatize me mentally a little bit. Like, I never did any like hardcore camming. Like, I was there mostly chatting with, you know, men, and a little bit of topless stuff here and there. Nothing crazy, and that's probably why I didn't make much money doing it. But
Right.
you know, I wasn't comfortable. So, but I will say
Right.
that it did damage me a bit mentally and emotionally
Right.
because it's
Mm.
tough. You can't filter what people are going to say online, and people get really mean and abusive.
They do. They do.
You
Especially
know?
within, you know, when it comes to Corey Feldman, there's some crazy people involved. Like his Feldfam is, some of them are okay, but most of them are not. Like, I mean, you
I
know,
know.
and like it's really crazy. And, you know, so do you mind sharing, you know, your stories of what happened like after you got involved with the Playboy Lives and then the direction it took and what happened to you, or you don't want to share that?
Well, which part? Like, okay, so
Like,
like I met a guy out through Playboy Live. I met a couple people at the time that were I don't really know like what their full agenda was, but you know, I was
right,
very young, and again, it should be stated that I was very like vulnerable, desperate for money, all that kind of stuff. There were men who were, you know, wanting to fly me out to different places, um, offer me lots of money, you know what I mean? And
yep,
I had a hunch and a feeling that it could have been, you know, involved in some capacity, possibly with sex trafficking, you know? And that was a fear of mine. I was approached by different men, you know, and in the industry, like it's kind of it almost sounded like a pimp in a way, but
yeah,
you know, like it
yep.
almost seemed like that. And those are the kind of people that were around that environment. So thank God I had like some sense and people in my life who were like, this does not sound legitimate. Like, what the hell? You're not going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Thankfully, I had people who were talking me off the ledge,
yeah.
who I was able to
So
be
then,
completely open and honest with. But
yeah,
it should be said that, you know, I'm not blaming Corey for any of that because, you know, directly it wasn't his fault that that stuff happened, but he did like open me up to that world. And I
right.
was like, you know, someone who was intermittently using ecstasy. So, you know, my reasoning abilities weren't like 100% on point.
The part that bothered me about that story was when you had the experience and
No,
then you were,
sorry. can I respond to Michelle G on
Sure,
the
of
chat?
course.
Sorry.
Yes.
He was not involved in setting that up. No, I'm not trying to say that he was, but I am saying what kind of a community I was opened up to when knowing him. Do you know what I'm saying? I got involved in that company because of him and his girlfriend. So there you go.
And then, you know, the part that bothered me about the story is just the story about LA Las Vegas, and then what happened when you came and told them what happened.
Holy crap. That was
Yeah.
horrible. And that was something that, like, I have major PTSD after. So at one of Corey's parties, there was a DJ there that would work with him. His name was Avi, and he had a guy that was like, I guess like an assistant to Avi, and they would like DJ Corey's parties a lot, and I'm sure he wasn't paying them, but they got to go and pick up chicks or whatever the hell, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that was the payment probably. So I met this guy that was the assistant to the DJ at one of the parties, and I was like really pissed off at Corey that night because I was sick of all the control, and he was telling me, come here, go here, do this, da 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 da, and I was like, no, like I'm talking to this other person, you know? And like I thought I kind of liked the guy, and he seemed like cool, and I was young and I was rolling on drugs, and this guy was like a DJ and he just seemed cool, and so I was like, all right, I'll hang out with him. And so I went off with him, and then he took me to Las Vegas, and yeah, he gave me tons of drugs. Like, I'm telling you, more than I've ever done with Corey, more than I've ever done in my life. I never touched drugs again after this, by the way. And I had an overdose with this guy in Las Vegas, and it was the scariest thing I've ever been through in my life, because all of a sudden it's like I'm overdosing. I thought I was like dying, you know, and I'm like, who are these people around me? I'm like, I realize I don't freaking know who these freaking people are, and it scared me, you know. And they didn't want to call the ambulance because they didn't want to get in trouble. So
Good
yeah.
people.
Yeah, and they kept just telling me, oh, you can't overdose on ecstasy. It's impossible. Well, that's not true. You can overdose on ecstasy. And the thing about it is ecstasy is cut with a lot of other drugs. So there's actually no telling what I had in my system.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't portioned out in capsules. It was straight powder. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So so I had a horrible, horrible overdose in Las Vegas. Somehow I make it through. I'm very strong. I will give myself kudos. I don't know how I did it, but I made it through. I somehow got back to LA, and after that experience, I was just so effed up, you know, mentally and emotionally. I ran back to Corey because I thought I needed someone to be there for me. You know what I mean? Like I wanted that support, that emotional support. And I just did, you know, and I didn't know anybody else in LA at the time much. And like I knew a few people, but I ran back to him anyway. So I get there and I'm telling him what happened, and I'm just like so upset about it all. And he's like trying to comfort me a little bit. And then I think he like calls the DJ, and he's like, even like calls him on the phone and is like, what the hell, dude? Like, this is messed up. Like, he took her to Vegas. Look what he did. Da 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 da. And so I thought, okay, cool. Like, he has my back. He realizes it's fucked up. And like, he did realize it was messed up. And so I was just there, like with him and with some of the other women, just like trying to come down off the drugs. I mean, my brain was just so messed up. I had no serotonin left. I was in a super, super dark place because, just like I explained before with ecstasy, the come down is freaking killer. So I was seeking that solace in Corey. And then what does Corey do? He's like, okay, girls, it's time to go out. This is literally that same day. He's like, okay, you need to do more drugs. So he's like, literally, I'm like literally in the lowest point in my life, and he's pushing more drugs at me. He's
yeah,
like,
so you just overdosed. You
Mhm.
somehow get to his house looking for help, and his answer is, "Well, let's just get high." You know,
yeah.
like
His answer was,
wow.
you just had an overdose. Your brain is completely devoid of all serotonin. You know, you are in a dark place. Here's some more drugs. And I was
Wow.
like, holy shit, you know what? For me, that was the turning point. And then they got all dark in the eyes, and I could see that these people did not have my best interest in mind, and they were not my friends. And
Yeah.
I was just, you know, devastated. And
Yeah.
I ended up going out with them, but I didn't drink, or they're not into alcohol at all. So drinking is never a part of the equation. It's only drugs. But
Yeah.
I didn't do any drugs. We did go out, came back, and I literally was like crashing in the downstairs bedroom while they were like having a marathon sexcapade that was so freaking loud that I couldn't even sleep. I'm telling
Yeah, I
you,
remember
like,
telling you
yeah, like bad, so disturbing. And then I literally, after that, I just like packed up my shit and I never saw him again. I left and I was like, I'm freaking done.
that. Yeah. And even his kid was there during times of these parties and sexcapades.
His kid was around. I mean, he did his best to shield him from, you know, things. But the thing
Yeah,
is,
but kids aren't
like,
stupid.
even if it wasn't like a full out party, like there would be times where, you know, women would be around and Corey would want to, you know, do things, even though his son was in the house, like he was in the home, you know. So chances are, like, the thing is, everybody knew what was going on, like as far as his lifestyle and like the crazy shit and the drugs and the coercing women into sex. And I don't know like all the details of what everybody knew, but everyone knew in some way. So I'm thinking there's no way his son can like not on some level know what's going on.
Yeah, kids are not stupid.
I mean, he wasn't stupid, and you know, I'm sure he was traumatized by some of it at different points. Because you can't like shield them from everything, even though he
No, you
tried.
can't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he tried, but like his son would be there. Yeah, like we knew his son. Like we knew him, and he was a sweet kid, you know. And I just my heart goes out to him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a sweet, sweet boy. And I feel terrible for, you know, the negligence. You know, and as far as Corey just needs to be careful, and all parents about what kind of people, you know, they bring their kids around. And, you know, good thing like us girls were like decent humans, you know, but it's like you don't know.
Right.
A lot of the people around him weren't. So yeah.
Yeah. And then didn't you say something about like this was around the time of like Oscar de la Hoya and Daisy? She was around. She was a known prostitute.
I don't
Or,
really
no, was she or not?
like if she's a known like I can't really like say for sure
Yeah,
about
maybe I got that part wrong, but she
either
was around, right?
deny, you know what I mean? Like I have no idea, but yes, there were people that were celebrity adjacent, if you will,
Right.
that were around him. Yes. I mean, yeah, she was around sometimes. I mean, there's just like a lot of like kind of somewhat like there were not a lot, but like sprinkled in, there were people who were, you know, celebrity adjacent or minor
Yeah.
celebrities themselves, or were at one point like, you know, Hugh Hefner and like some of his, like, I don't know, like people that were associated slightly with him were sometimes around. Like
Right.
I believe it was Hugh Hefner's brother Keith. His son was around a lot. Keith's son. Yeah, there were some Playboy adjacent people around the periphery of the group. I mean, he had all different kinds of people, that were somehow involved in the adult industry. There would be like weird swinger couples. I don't know, every freaking random person you could imagine that I would absolutely never let in my home, let alone know where I live. But yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to process everything. There's more to this story. Obviously, like you don't want to talk about the second experience that you had, but it was a lot more graphic and
yeah.
Probably harder to talk about, I'm sure. So
Yeah, I mean it's hard to talk about in great detail. But
yeah, I get it.
I'm pretty sure that everyone listening, gets the gist of it. And hopefully everyone can tell that like I'm literally trying to come from the most genuine, honest place ever. And, I have no malintent and I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to tell the truth of what happened. And I just want it to stop. Like, I just, because like I see, like I told Kim on the phone the other day, I see, they're still targeting women, and there's going to be coercion and abuse happening. And I feel like this needs to be exposed.
That second incident, there was a detail about that I've only heard one other time.
Okay. Detail.
I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, or you know what I mean? Like you don't want to talk about it.
Go ahead. What was it?
Can I say what happened and you can correct me if I'm wrong? Are you comfortable with that? Or
yeah, sure.
Sorry, are you, or I couldn't hear you?
Yeah, you could say what yeah, you could say it. That's
okay.
fine.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong anywhere, okay? But my understanding was you were at a party. I think it was his birthday party, wasn't it that night? Was it that night or was it another night?
It was, and it was a crazy night because raided the police or something.
Yeah. And so crazy things were happening, like she said, like there was, like Hollywood adjacent people. I think the more details we put out there, the better, because it might encourage people to come forward.
Yeah.
So, Daisy was mentioned, the Charlie Sheen girls were mentioned. They were around at the time. And who else was there? There was somebody else I wanted to mention.
There's all kind of people.
Lorenzo Lama's ex-wife or something.
Yeah.
Was there in some capacity. So people were aware, but okay, so anyways.
Were necessarily at the exact party. Like these are just like people, because he would have like different like events, like, pool parties, and like just different people would come over there just to hang out. Like, and I don't know why. Like I still to this day can't figure out what they're getting out of it, but maybe drugs, but it's like,
no, I believe it's got to be something more than that.
Yeah,
but, like so it was a birthday party, and somehow they ended up in the closet because I don't know. And
yes,
Corey forced himself.
It was in his closet. Yeah.
Pardon?
Yes, that's correct. It was in the closet.
And I want to say something that I feel is an important fact because I've heard it before. something about a spermicide or a sponge, and that's true.
Yeah.
Someone said.
Unfortunately, it is absolutely 100,000% true. As sad as that is, he claimed that he had a spermicide product, that would prevent pregnancy, but also STDs.
Right.
It's true about the sponge and that's all true. I can confirm those details 100%. Sadly, yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because, like, if it's happened with more than one woman and more than one woman is saying the same thing, then, I don't understand what the problem is here. Like, it seems like it's a pattern of women, allegedly. I mean, we have to say allegedly. And if he wants to respond, he's more than welcome to. I will absolutely print or publish anything he wants to respond.
Yeah.
I think it's really brave of you to come forward and talk about this. Like, there's so much more, I mean, yeah.
Right. I know. And it's just a shame because, I know that they're going to come around and try to discredit like what we've talked about.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just hope that, people will see through that and, not buy into what the narrative that they're trying to spin, because it's just sad. And honestly, it makes them look crazy.
It does.
Like, the more they try to spin things with these crazy narratives about satanic cults and all that crap, it's like insanity. It's pure insanity. It makes them look bad. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. He needs to friggin' hire some PR and get some professional direction, because the way he handles shit is beyond
Bad.
hilarious.
You know what's funny is I used to do that for him at one point.
PR. Yeah, I mean, he can't handle. He honestly shouldn't be on social media because he clearly can't handle it.
I agree. I
mean, honestly, social media comes with a responsibility, and sometimes you just have to like keep your friggin' mouth shut.
There was another. She wasn't an angel, but they were supposed to do a performance on the Today Show. That epic Today Show performance.
Yes.
Okay, so she backed out. She went by Crystal Cali at the time. She has changed her name now. And I did an interview with her, and he left the worst voicemail message for her, talking down to her, and saying she was mud and she would never work with us again, and blah blah blah. She is like one of the most successful people that I've ever interviewed, encountered. She has her own business. She's educated. She's smart. She's musically talented. She's she's got so much going for her. She's beautiful. I mean, and it's like, laugh is on you, Corey, because the same person that you wished all of those awful things on turned around and made it a good thing, and like did well with their life and succeeded. And a lot of the other former angels, like, they're doing their own thing musically. They have real talent. Like, these people that he's putting down, these women that are coming forward, you guys, no matter if you're a Corey Feldman fan or not, you have to listen to what these women are saying. Yeah. Because they have nothing to gain by coming forward and bearing their scars to the world. Yeah. Like, we're so judged. It's so hard. I just did it on a stupid video myself. And it's like, this is my scar and this is my reality. And, we need, as a society and as humans, to be more compassionate towards one another. And if you don't believe it, then move on. But if we can help somebody else, that is the point of this.
I mean, people need to be held responsible for their actions. And frankly, if I were out doing things like that, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I don't know how he does.
Yeah. It's really disappointing, that he is this person. And
And I don't really know how people have like ignored all these interviews and things when it's like we're supposed to be a progressive society, like the whole Me
Yeah.
Too movement, but yet people are ignoring the allegations. And that's just crazy to me. Like the people that give him a platform to spew his nonsense, like Heather McDonald for supporting him, you know, from Juicy
Yeah.
Scoop. He's supposed to be like
Yeah.
pro women and, you know, like paid us for like giving him a platform. And it's like, you know, that people in the media do research on who they're going to interview, and they have people working for them that research the candidates that come on their shows. So if you have Google, all you have to do is Google him and these stories come up. So if you're going to act like you don't know or you don't care, I'm sorry, but that's messed up on another level. And those people aren't supporting women. You know, that's not women supporting women. And that's just like really, really disappointing to me to see.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you know,
stand up for each other. And we live in a misogynistic society, and enough is enough.
Yeah. And you know, what bothered me about the second event was that he knew what was happening. Like, you were crying, you know, like there was people there that seen and knew what was happening, and no one did anything about it.
Right.
I mean, you talked to the security guard, you know, but I don't think he knew exactly what happened, or did he?
About which thing?
About the second time it happened.
No, like I didn't talk to people about it. Like I wasn't open about it. I was open about, you know, the overdose that I had and
Right.
all of that trauma.
Right.
And
Okay.
people knew that girls were being introduced to drugs and tripping out of their minds and making decisions that they wouldn't normally make. And people knew that that shit was going on, and they were totally cool with it. And some of them probably even tried to benefit and be on the sidelines and get some play.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then Michelle G has a question here. Was I present during the parties that he charged men to get into? Yes. Those were like all of his parties. And at the time, like I didn't really realize, except for hearing through other people, that he was charging. So yeah, I was present. And what was the other question? If he was forcing women to sleep with the men? No, definitely not. Like, but he was providing a venue for predators to prey on girls that were effed up on drugs. Do you see what I'm saying? He was providing a venue for creeps to be creepy and disgusting. And men would take that opportunity. They would pay their $300 or whatever the hell. They would go in there. They would act like they were some big photographer or some media guy. And then they would try to lure women in, whether it's by getting a girl's number, talking to a girl. These are opportunities that creepy men would pay for. And the women that were around Corey, you know, were looking for, you know, maybe a possible career hookup. You know what I'm saying? So there were pretty young girls, pretty young women that weren't thinking straight. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
So yeah. Oh, Joe Mill, Heather McDonald supports him. I've heard her shout out support to Corey Feldman on her show, Juicy Scoop. She's low key supports him, I believe. Yeah, I've heard her mention supporting him in his fight. Heather McDonald from Juicy Scoop. She's a comedian. She's really funny. I love like listening to her and stuff, but I was super disappointed to hear her say any kind of comment, whether it was off the cuff or what, in support of Corey and his fight to expose the pedophiles of Hollywood, which we all know now was just another ploy for him to scam.
Right.
Because he's not going to do something altruistic to benefit the greater good. He's really just trying to look for an angle to profit, which, you know, isn't surprising. I mean, his goals in life is to scam people, profit off people, and get laid. Do you know what I'm saying? And he has to scam girls into laying him. They don't actually want to do it. That's the sad part. So it all kind of goes hand in hand in a way. And yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. I just want to make it clear for everybody that we're downplaying, you know, the incidents in question. Like, we're not going into graphic details about what happened. I believe that's something for law enforcement. That's not something for the court of public opinion to, you know, decide. So there's a reason why. Yeah, like, we're just only disclosing so much. But the point of it is that, you know, people need to be aware and be aware of your surroundings at all times. And it doesn't just necessarily mean about him. You know, it's be aware of your surroundings. Don't put yourself in dangerous situations. Listen to your gut. You know, if your gut's telling you something's wrong, it's wrong. And don't question it. Because I have before, and then I've been wrong again. And then I kick myself because I was wrong again because I knew it. You know,
it's so true.
Like, oh my God. So I learned to listen to my gut even when I don't freaking want to, but I do. And, you know,
and it's hard, you know, and I feel like we have to keep learning the same lessons over and over again. Like, damn, like I keep telling myself, I've been out in LA for, you know, a while now. And I'm like, you can't trust people. Like, how sad is that? But it's like, I have to have this guard up all the time.
Yeah,
I
do too.
You have to.
I've been burned by too many people that it's like, you know, I've got like the Berlin Wall around me now. Like, it's like you got to chip away if you want to stick around, you know. And if you don't, I understand. You know, I get it. But like, I mean, that's what life does to you. Unfortunately, you know, if you've had some challenging and traumatic experiences, it taints you a little bit, and you can't help that. No matter how positive you are. Like, I mean, you know, is it always like that every day? No, you know, but there's good days and there's bad days. And, you know, recently I've started showing people my bad days because that's the reality of what life is. And, you know, it's who I am. I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. Like, it's, you know, sometimes I'm in a place and other times I'm not. Like, we've had roads, you know. Life isn't always easy.
It's not. And, you know, you have to be vulnerable, especially, you know, if you want to help other people process their trauma, which is what I really like. One of my real true hopes for this process is that, you know, more women will come forward to hold him accountable, because if he's not being held accountable, he's going to continue doing bad things. And, you know, it's just really interesting because, I don't know, he makes a fool out of himself on TV all the time. And it's like, people still support him. It's like, what? I just don't get it.
Well, you know what? Since his documentary, no mainstream media has picked it up. In fact, we showed a clip the other day from the news station, CT, or I don't know, something in LA. And it said, I was at the documentary last night. It was the weirdest thing. She's like, 10 minutes before he's supposed to name the names, he stops the movie and there's this big drama and saying that they've been hacked and stuff. And she's like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever been to in my life. And she goes, but here at NBCLA, we provide accurate information, and I'm not comfortable repeating the names that he named. We provide a service to our viewers to provide accurate information. Like, you know, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? So that's your answer right there, is that they don't believe you. Like, I mean, you know,
Right.
That's what it, like, they don't believe him. He's full of crap, you know, like.
He is. He is. And it's sad, but I mean, he's one of many people, you know, in LA and in the industry. And, you know, I feel like things have to be slowing down a little bit with COVID as far as like what kind of like creepy shit they can get up to. So, you know, I mentioned that to you yesterday. And,
Yeah.
but things are starting to reopen again. And I mean, I don't know if they're going to open the nightclubs and all that again, but, you know, he's always entertained in his homes as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard the some of the interview or the chat that gosh, what's her name? Susie was doing before ours. The stream she was doing about that guy or whatever.
Yeah.
That is like a mind-boggling. That whole situation in itself is crazy.
I know. I have to go back and watch the replay because I was running around trying to get things done before
Chris
ours.
guy or
So
whatever? That's crazy.
yeah, you know, I actually remember when that went down because I stumbled across. He had a GoFundMe. Chris had a GoFundMe. I want to say 2018.
Did he?
Maybe
Okay.
2017. I don't know. Anyway, but I did it to Corey because I was like, oh my god, you know, this guy's raising $2,000 to come to LA to make a documentary about you, and he's like, what? He's so scared. Well, the next thing you know, he calls Chris. The GoFundMe's taken down. The project is stopped, and you know, everything's good, and now they're friends again. So I really got to go back after this and watch Susie.
That is literally, I just want to say from like an outsider perspective, like that is literally the fakest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Like him interviewing her about, I don't know, it's like fruits and vegetables. Like, did you see the interview thing that she did? I'm not trying to
no.
like
I tried to for like 2 minutes, and it was about
I don't want to
fruit.
sound petty or anything, but it's like it's so fake. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I don't
she
know.
is fake.
I think they just like surround themselves with people who are like, yeah, like they're trying to come up too. Like clearly this Chris guy is trying to come up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's obviously trying to do something, and it's like he'll use anybody with any sort of clout, like even if it's Corey. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know. We live in a society where clout is more important than like doing the right thing. And where, you know what I mean? Advancing yourself personally versus like doing the right thing for victims and women.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's mind-boggling. Okay, Joe, what did you say? It seems you've turned out to be a lovely, well-spoken, moralistic. Aw, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I appreciate it, Joe. You know what? I just honestly, I just try to do the best that I can, you know? And just every day, one foot in front of the other, one day at a time.
Yeah. And how are you now? I know you've had stuff. You know, are you thinking about maybe doing that again or something? Like I can help you with some resources and
how am I doing now? I'm sorry, what was the question?
Like how are you doing now with things? Like, you know, where you're at, like with with what's happened to you, and like, are you doing okay with it?
I'm doing all right. You know, I'm doing good. I'm just trying to live a healthy lifestyle and take care of myself physically, especially during this time of the pandemic. You know, keeping low key, keeping my circle small, very small, and you know, trying to deal with my trauma. Like I think now that I've been able to talk about all this stuff and like reflect on it, like I think I'm ready to like find a therapist that specializes in abuse, trauma, and PTSD.
Yeah.
So I think I'm ready to start that path, and hope for the best. Like, I know therapy isn't magic, you know, but I think
No,
it
but I think it helps, you know, a little bit. Sometimes, I mean, hopefully if you get the right therapist, I mean, you know, sometimes you find support in peer groups, sometimes it's different things. Sometimes it's a weird process because sometimes you feel like you need it, and then other times you feel like you're doing okay. And then other times you feel like what you're doing isn't working. And it's like an endless cycle of that. So it's very difficult, and I get that challenge. Like,
it is
you know.
difficult. You know what? It has been, I'm not gonna lie, like it has been difficult for me talking about this stuff because I
Yeah.
think I've like stuffed it down over years.
Yeah.
But I am really happy that there is a place where I can talk about my experiences, you know, because
Mhm.
that didn't used to exist. There was no space to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Years ago,
And then,
nobody
you
cared.
know, one of the other stories that you were telling me that stuck out with me was when he was driving, like the stories of his driving.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can confirm what everyone else has been saying as far as his reckless driving. He is literally a suicide driver. Like, he is so dangerous behind the wheel, you know?
Mhm.
It's extremely dangerous. Yeah, it's scary. I literally feared for my life on multiple occasions with his erratic driving. And I'm like, I don't even think he was on drugs. Some of the times he just drives crazy. And for some reason, when he gets pulled over, it's like he doesn't get ticketed because he's a celebrity. You know?
You know, yeah. And then didn't you say something about like he makes women perform
Oh,
activity
yeah.
while
Oh,
he's
yeah.
driving?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Oral sex while he's driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horrible. Like crazy shit. Like you said, he's a sexual deviant.
Yeah.
It's disgusting and depraved, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like it's really a shame. And he feels like that he's owed sexual favors. And it's like, for what? I don't know. It's crazy,
Yeah.
you know? And
Just so everybody knows, is I have provided her with the information that she is, you know, she needs to speak with the appropriate
yes.
people.
And it's sad to say, as far as the police goes, you know, they're not known for being extremely compassionate people as far as handling these types of situations. I've had situations in the past where I have reported people for sexually assaulting me, and the police literally turn it around on the victim a lot. Um, so that they're known to do that. They're known to say, well, what were you doing hanging around this person? As though you brought it on yourself. You know what I mean? And I think people should understand that that is a reason why women don't go to the police a lot, because if you've ever done it, you know that they'll turn it around on you. And yeah, it's unfortunate. But I mean, I definitely am planning to get in touch with the appropriate officer. But I think it's important to note that they don't handle things correctly in law enforcement a lot of the time.
And that hurts my heart because I think there should be some sort of like woman's advocate that goes with the victim and reports the crime so that doesn't happen, because it should not be the victim's fault. You know, they blame themselves already.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
they have guilt, they have shame. It's embarrassing. If there was drugs involved or alcohol involved and the memories are shady, like not shady, but like hard to recall because your mind was altered or didn't have the ability to consent, you're afraid to say all of those things. I mean, how hard. I can't. Look at how long it took me to talk about my story.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not taken too terribly seriously, and the LAPD has numerous issues, as I'm sure everyone's aware. Yeah. Let's see. What were these comments on the side?
Okay, so Elliot says, Laura, I know this is hard, but the only way it's going to stop is to involve law enforcement. You need to report this all to the Topanga police station. She's got the appropriate number.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
his file does.
I just want to say, asking for a female cop, yes. The very first time I reported somebody for rape, sadly, this wasn't the first time this had happened to me. It had happened to me one other time before the whole situation with Corey. I was dealing with a female cop, and sadly, they're no different. I mean, the police, they go through training, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whether they're women or men, they ask questions in a certain way, and sadly, it doesn't often make a difference as far as their gender.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that we can work on in a way.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe that's something to do, like maybe a project that maybe even some of the other angels might want to be involved in, because like Jackie reported her witness statement, and like unfortunately there was nothing that they could do at the time because the victim themselves didn't come forward. But if they ever do, Jackie's statement's on file. You know what I mean? Like, so
Exactly. It's like building a case.
Yeah. And so it's sad, but I mean,
exactly. And that's why I'm willing to speak to the appropriate person, because
right.
It's building a case. And so the more people that contribute and speak up, the more of a case certain people will have to pursue their, So for that reason,
even it's hard, even though it's hard to talk about, like sometimes the details might resonate with somebody else, because like there was a few key points, that resonated with me when we spoke last night. And it was just like, more I dug into it, everything you said was accurate. And it was like, like I said, we're withholding details of stuff, but you get the gist of what's happening. And it's very upsetting. So like, I think we should look towards a solution and maybe have like a women's advocate and start something like that. So when women are in these situations, they have support, like, I don't know, victim services or something like that. Like, I mean, because it's traumatic, and to be treated like shit, like maybe some sensitivity training or something where, I mean, that's a tough thing to.
Like, and they make it not about the victim. They make it about the person that perpetrated the crime in some situations. And that's just like, I don't know. It's not handled correctly. And, unfortunately, sadly, it goes back to, we live in a misogynistic society, unfortunately. And, a male-centric society. And, it's opening up so much to me as far as the level of abuse that women endure just for simply being women. Whether it's by their domestic partners, by random celebrities who try to recruit them, or by the police.
Yeah. See, I feel like there's opportunity for growth and for change, and maybe that's something we could look towards trying to do and implement, because like, wouldn't it be great if, like if you had that support? Like, I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I think it would be awesome to support, women in their in
Time of
their
need.
pursuit of dealing with trauma and in their pursuit of healing, because
Yeah.
it is such a serious thing, and people just don't understand like the PTSD that comes with situations like these. Because for
Yeah.
me, even though it's almost been 10 years, like there's still times when like I have trouble falling asleep at night because of certain things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I do.
it's like I'm great like a lot of the time, but then other times I'm not great. And it's like I can't really explain why because it happened so long ago, but it's like I don't know. It's just such a deep and a deeply important issue. So
It
I
is.
definitely think
I'm
there's
going through the
something.
same thing, and I just, it's weird because I just said that to my doctor today. I was like, I don't know how to describe it in a way to make people understand. Like, it's just,
I know.
it's traumatic event or events that have happened in your life that are shook you to your very core, that dictates PTSD is a real thing, and it does cause nightmares. It does cause inability to sleep. Like I very rarely sleep at night. Like that's when it comes out. My anxiety comes out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just, and mine's in overdrive, and it's like, I don't know. It's a lot of emotions at once, and you're trying to work through it, and it'll pass, but it's just uncomfortable while it's happening. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's
Just
uncomfortable. And that's why it's so nice to be able to open up and talk on this platform about, what has happened. And to me, this is about women supporting women. And like, that's everything because unfortunately, our society pits women against each other.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
alone is so messed up. You know what I mean? And it's like at the end of the day, we really need to come together and support each
yeah,
other. It doesn't matter
yeah,
what we look like.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
It's like
do.
people coming together, supporting each other. So that's like when I heard their stories,
Mhm.
Jackie and Poena, even though she wasn't like sexually assaulted, she was not
Right,
given food. That's a basic human
right.
right. Do you know what
And
I
I
mean?
remember you were telling me a story about a party that you were at. There's no food. There was never any food. And you ate red vines. And I'm like, what's a red vine? And you're like, licorice. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm Canadian. I don't know what that is. But yeah, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Oh my
pattern.
God.
And
Yes.
I actually reached out to Margot, and she wants to set something up and talk. So, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
that'll be great because yeah, and because she wants to encourage more women to come forward, because there is a
Absolutely.
lot of them out there that have been affected and are afraid to come out because they think that they're not going to be believed or they're not going to have any support. And you know what? Like, that's why I do this. Like, I mean, I'll support anybody that's struggling because I struggle. That's why I do it. I
That's
do it
really
because I do.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that, like, you're taking it seriously, and the thing is, like, when I reached out, I didn't even know if, like, you would, like, wanna talk because, like, you don't know who I am and all this, but it's like, I'm so grateful that I've been able to, share the experience because it's powerful, you know?
It is powerful, and I feel kind of honored that you chose me for some reason, and it came to me just how sometimes just things fall into place at the right time. It was
Yeah.
one of those things. Your message, it really was, because I was like, I'm conflicted. Why am I doing this? What's the point? It's causing more stress than results. And then all of a sudden I get this message, and like I've gotten tons of messages over the years, and you have to weed through who is legitimate and who isn't. But as soon as you started talking and giving specific details of certain things,
Mm.
I knew that you were legitimate, and I just
I'm
had this sense that,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
uh,
I'm as legit as it gets. Sadly, I've lived
yeah,
that experience, you
yeah,
know? And,
yeah,
it didn't break me though. That's the important thing. Like, it
yeah,
didn't break me. It hindered me, it
Yep.
hindered me, and I lost some time. I'm not going to say I didn't lose some time because I had to recover, and it took me years to recover. I mean,
too.
let's be clear, when you're using drugs of that nature,
Mhm.
and maybe you're predisposed to having, depression or miscellaneous mental health sensitivities,
Right.
it can take the brain time to recover from such trauma.
It really does.
So I'm
It
not
really
gonna
does.
say I didn't lose some time. I mean, I
Yeah.
did, but, that's
Oh, me
all part of
too.
the journey. It's all
I
part of the
get
journey.
it. And yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and it's really bizarre because I was also saying to my doctor, like, I just want to talk to somebody who gets it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's and you get it because you've been there, and it's hard to put yourself out there, but I'm proud of you for doing it, and I thank you for trusting me with it.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you for giving me a platform.
anytime. And I'm really glad that we've spoken and that our paths have crossed for some reason. And I believe it's healing, and I believe that I think we can do a lot of good with this, though. I think there's opportunity for growth and to make change, and maybe we should try and really do that, and put a woman's advocate in the police station, or in workplaces, or you know what I mean, like some small step to show support in
That
some
right
way.
there is, that's a definite concept. It's a charity right there. I mean, I'm sure there
Yeah,
are groups that are out
and
there, but it's like, are they really doing their job? Because I don't know who they are.
yeah,
If there
yeah.
are groups
I mean,
that are doing it, I'm not aware, but
maybe that's something that we could put together with anybody who'd like to get involved that's been personally affected by this, and start like a nonprofit, and just
yeah.
try and do things to help other women. And that includes also like resources for them, for like support, like mental support, counseling, crisis lines that are available. Even like nowadays, you can even freaking text a distress line. Like, I literally had to do that after I talked to you, because I was like, oh my God. Because I heard the unedited version, right? So I was like, oh my God.
I mean, it was because it was graphic, because I was
Yeah.
describing like what all happened, and I mean, there's no way to not make it like graphic,
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, there are, so many people that are just okay with that, and it's just, I don't know, it just disgusts me how much rape is normalized in our culture and seems to be becoming more normalized versus, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know there's Me Too and all that, but then there's also like on the other coin, there's also like BDSM, which is becoming more mainstream, and it's totally normal to choke women out. And it's okay, and it's cool, and like that is becoming normalized. But yet, I don't know, it's in a different context, but it's still problematic.
Right.
So this is like a complex cultural, societal issue, but it goes deep.
There's got to be something done. So I guess that's pretty much all for now, unless there's any other stories or anything you'd like to share.
I mean, that pretty much covers it. I think. I mean, there's probably plenty more details and stories that I could talk about as far as my time there, but that sums up the main points.
Yeah.
Unless you have any other questions specifically, or topics that you wanted me to touch on.
Those were the key points. I just basically, what I guess I'm summing it up, like from what I've heard across the board from everybody that have come forward, it's all the same thing. It's a pattern, and it's younger women that are usually new to LA. This is a profile, right?
Yes.
And it's a profile of like maybe say a predator, And they look for younger, vulnerable women that are broken, usually financially in trouble. So, there's some anxiety and uncertainty of where they're going to pay their rent or how they're going to pay their rent.
Absolutely.
And usually left at home, and then he'll take them under his wing, and he'll promise them a career, a singing career. It started off as, and then acting, and then modeling, and the Playboy lives, and all this shit. And it's like, people really need to start speaking up. If you were at those parties, if you've seen these things going on, and you've seen someone all of a sudden coming out of a closet and they're crying in tears, you don't think something's wrong with that? And you sat on that for how many years? Like,
right.
What kind of person are you? Why didn't you stand up for that person?
Yes, and they're opportunists as well. Because I think the guys, they see how Corey's able to use his fame, or his fame that he once had, to reel in women and get laid. And the guys, they see that, and they're around because they want to get some too. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
And so they may overlook getting paid or for their services, or they may overlook little things because they think, oh, this is an entryway into, because I mean, let's face it, I'm not saying all men, but I'm saying a lot of men are, they're creepy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all.
And
but
to give people a picture of the time frame, remember we were talking years ago now, 2012, which yes is still within the statute. But it was the time of the Truth Movement. I think the band was called Truth Movement, where it was all guys, wasn't it? Am I right?
Yeah, it was. But Corey's Angels was the media company that he was basically saying would make women famous.
Right.
And it was two separate things, but you're right. I believe that is what the band was called.
Yeah. And it just, I don't know, it seems to be a lot of shady activity happening,
Oh, absolutely. Very shady activity. That's an understatement. And we have no idea, I'm sure, some of what goes on. But, it's like, I can't figure out. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I can't figure out, I can't fully figure out how he gets some of the women around him. I know he promises the naive girls like myself, a chance at this or that. But I don't know how he's able to get some of the other women around him. It's are they just lonely, or I don't know. It's something else is going on at the level.
It's a pattern. He looks for those vulnerable girls. And there have been rumors, and I will say it is rumors, and it's alleged, and it's, out there. Not saying it's from me, but it's out there that he has people that assist him in those activities that are, I don't want to say the word procuring, but I'm saying the word. I've heard that word specifically many times thrown around. Allegedly, in my opinion. But I just, there's a lot of people that are involved in it. But if you think about it for a brief second, remember when the whole R. Kelly thing went down?
Yeah.
And then, as more information started to come out, there was a network of people involved in that. From the people that changed the birth certificate so they could get married. So people knew that she was 15. They knew the activities that were going on. And it took a long time for that information to come out. But eventually it comes out. So the people that were present in these situations, eventually it's going to come out. And he who talks first walks first, right? So it depends on who they get, but he who talks first walks first.
I mean, and it's true about the procuring. I don't even know if I was targeted by that Amir guy or what, that brought me to the
Mhm.
party, or like I don't really know, like, if maybe he was like procuring women. I have no idea. But he did
Right.
invite me to that club night, and then Corey's main girlfriend, or whoever, whatever you want to call her, Sarah, that's not a real
Mhm.
name. Yeah, she befriended me, you know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
there is some procurement going on, and like you said, his wife does that. And you know what? It just reminds me of like Ghislaine Maxwell. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The more I hear, the more uncomfortable I get,
Yeah.
because it is like, it's sickening. It really is. It makes me feel nauseous when I hear this, because it's like, when you have that feeling in your gut that you just know, and you don't want it to be right in your heart, but in your gut it's like, oh God, I know it's true. Like, it sucks, and I
Yeah.
just have that feeling that it's like, oh my God, I don't want this to be true, but my gut is like, oh, I believe these women.
But it's
You know
really
what I
sad
mean?
because I mean, she seems like a sweet girl. And the thing is, she doesn't realize it now, but she's also like a victim, but she's perpetuating the cycle by victimizing others.
Right. Very well
One
said.
day, you know what I mean? One day she's going to wake up and realize that she too was a victim.
She will.
But she is, unfortunately, she's really not helping women out there by
My
putting
my
in.
prediction my prediction about Courtney is she'll probably wise up around 30, 31, 32, maybe, because you go through a
Isn't she in her
transition in your life.
30s?
Pardon?
Isn't she in her 30s now?
No, I don't think so. Maybe just 30. I don't even think she is that.
Oh, wow.
But she's gonna grow up, because you're gonna go through a transition. You do from 20 to
Yeah.
30, and it's a like a transformation. You're going into a different phase of your life, and
Yeah.
she's gonna realize that she's been in a bad spot. And I jokingly said in an interview one time, or a show that we were doing, I can't remember which, but I was like, Courtney, if you're there against your will, blink 5 times at your next live, so we know you're okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but it's like,
I feel so
flip
bad, but
twice if you know.
yeah, and I feel so bad because, she just looks like half the time terrified of him. And I know what
Yeah.
that's like to feel like that. And it's like, you want to believe that the person you're with is good, and maybe your mind will try to trick you into thinking that they are. But at the same time, a
Yeah.
lot of manipulation, and it should be said that a lot of mind control and brainwashing happens while people are under the influence of drugs.
Right.
It opens the
Yeah.
mind. It makes you susceptible to mind control
Yeah.
and abuse, like on another subconscious level.
Right.
But I mean, if you're a willing participant, I'm not saying she's not, but at the same time, I feel bad for her. You know what I mean? But on the other hand, I feel like she's procuring, so that's not cool.
Like, I keep referring to the R. Kelly case because I can't stop seeing the assimilation between the two. And it's like, like I said, when everything started coming out, they found the whole crew that he rolled with were in on it in some way, shape, or form. And, if and when shit hits the fan and things come out in the open, and they
Right.
find out, like, certain names that were there, like names that you even told me that I don't even really want to repeat, because I'll speak to them privately and let them know. But, I think that people should be very, very aware, because, you can be held accountable too.
Oh, yeah,
Withholding
absolutely.
crime is an accessory.
Oh,
If you were there and didn't stop it, you're an accessory to a crime.
Oh, I totally agree. And it's just really it's just really sad because some people will literally do anything for a glimpse at fame.
Wow,
It's
man.
like, is it really worth it? It's like you get to be
No.
in the tabloids a little bit here and there with a D/Z list celebrity, but is it
Yeah.
really worth it? Is it really, really worth it? I don't know.
I think it ends up costing you your soul by the sounds of it.
Exactly. And like the mental torment,
Yeah.
it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. I'll take my quiet life, you know what I mean? Over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
But some people
So,
do anything for a slight glimpse at fame, but it's like, what's the point in having fame? Even the smallest amount, if you're not going to leverage it,
yeah.
it's like start a freaking business, you know what I mean? Like a legitimate
Yeah.
business. Or like do something,
Yeah.
do something real,
Yeah.
not like a fake,
Yeah.
expose pedophiles of Hollywood fake agenda shit. Like do something
Yeah.
real. I don't know, but I guess they don't
Yeah.
care because fame for fame's sake is enough. I don't know. I just don't know. I can't rationalize it in my mind.
I
But
I don't know either. Like there's so many ways you could look at it, and it's just I don't know. It's hard.
yeah,
It's like this goes so deep in so many different directions, and
I mean,
you
it really
know, like
does. And that's how we're able to speak for so long. And I can
yeah,
talk a lot, but I'm
yeah,
chatty.
like but it's kind of good because it gives you a different perspective, and like I mean, new information, and
Hmm.
it's good, and I enjoyed him talking, and it feels kind of therapeutic to get it out, like
It is therapeutic. It's
yeah,
100%. And
yeah,
Michelle G says this almost feels like another Epstein for adults. I agree. It is like that, but on a much smaller scale. But yeah, I see the parallels as well.
on the half pint level.
Yeah,
I call him a half pint because he's so little, like, you know what I mean?
I know he doesn't have nearly as much power, as Epstein had or has.
No,
But
no, you
like
it's
it's
not ladies.
yeah, and thank God everybody is not underage, but just because someone isn't underage doesn't mean that they can't be a victim too. So, because the fact of the matter is, even when you're in your 20s, your brain isn't even fully developed yet.
Right.
I mean, with
Yeah, you're still
life,
figuring your life out, who
yeah,
you are and what you want and where you're going, and yeah, I get
exactly.
it.
Hmm.
I can reflect back, like, when I was 25 and thought I was growing up and mature and I knew it all, but like looking at it now from my age is like, yeah, right. Like, I mean, but we live, we learn, we experience. I think for some reason, everything happens for a reason, whether we like it or not, good and
Yeah.
bad
So
experiences. And sometimes life takes you in a direction that you didn't expect. And I feel like I'm there right now. Because when I started all this, I did not think I would be sitting here saying these things and hearing these things. But, I feel like we're coming to an end of it. I hope that it is reach another person that's hurting and confused and blaming themselves and
yeah,
hurting alone in silence. And I hope you hear this and know that you're going to have arms wide open from everybody.
absolutely. And,
So,
just I hope like the information is easily accessible to people,
yeah,
and
yeah,
girls and, younger women who maybe get approached by him and hell, even parents, because you know what I mean? Parents talk to their daughters, and I know I
yeah,
did. And it's like if stuff's easily Googleable, then they could look
yep.
into it and be like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, you know
Well,
what
and don't you think it's odd that he gets everything negative about him removed from Google and all the main like searches
That's
and stuff?
crazy. And you
know what he
know,
does? He sends the
weird.
DMCA now to them, and they have to remove it. And it's like, who does that unless you're hiding something?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But
But
there's
you
such a thing as like web archives. You know what I mean? Just because it's scrubbed doesn't mean it's gone. Like you can get anything back. So it doesn't go away, Corey. Like you can run, but you can't hide, man. And your days of running are pretty limited, I'm going to say. It's going to be hard to run an ankle bracelet.
I know.
But again, innocent until proven guilty. You know,
really that would, I mean, honestly, that would be a major win, you know?
yeah. Well, like I said, I gave you the right information. Whenever you're ready, you said, you know what I mean? And I will support you with that. And you know,
Awesome.
this is just the beginning of things to come. So I think that we should work on something moving forward and getting, you know, help for victims, and because it's hard to navigate and you need that support. So
it's
I don't know
hard.
if you're interested. I'd love to work on a project.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
sounds good to me.
That
And
does.
you know, like I'd like to even have you on again and share more, you know, when you're ready. And like I really appreciate you opening up, and I know how hard it was, and I'm proud of you because it is hard. It's very hard.
I'm not gonna lie and say it's easy.
I know.
It hasn't been easy, and honestly, you know, if we're being honest, I don't think I've ever really told anyone about this except for maybe one friend, and she didn't really validate me either. So this is very helpful, you know what I mean? And I'm happy that I'm able to really like talk about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm here for you, and I'm going to introduce you to a world of people that are also here for you. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You know, you're very welcome. And we just wanted to protect her identity because of all the craziness that goes on with this. We're going to get her in the right direction, put her in touch with the right people. And, you know, we'll have her on again soon, and we'll go over some more. And, you know, maybe as time goes on, she'll be more comfortable sharing, you know, more details and stuff. But I appreciate your honesty, and I know it wasn't easy. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to all of the people in the chat on the side. I know we couldn't respond to everybody, but thank you all for your sweet comments and support. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you deserve it. So thanks again for your time. And I'll talk to you soon. Actually, I'll probably text you after this and see how you're feeling. So
yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Everybody have a good night. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching.